Hello, this is your scruffy looking director of tennis coming to you from my bedroom. And today I'm very excited about this video about playing on different court surfaces and how to best utilize your skills to play best when you're playing on clay, hard court, or even grass courts. So let's take a closer look at it right now. Let's first talk about the characteristics of a clay court. At Pinebrook, we have what's called hard true courts, which drain better and are easier to maintain than a red clay court. Number one, the bounce is less consistent than a hard court. Although at Pinebrook, our bounces are so good because the courts are maintained so well, but that can create a problem if you're not on your toes. The bounce is real slow, so it's hard to hit the ball through the court, as you can see, and hard to hit winners. The bounce is higher, so you can make people hit out of their strike zone, and they have to be pushed back. It's hard to get your footing. The traction is not great, which makes it challenging for net play. It's a real soft surface so that you really don't have the aches and pains that you'll have on other court surfaces, especially hard courts, which makes it real fun to play on. Additionally, you're going to find that if you play right on these courts, that it is physically demanding because the points are longer because it's harder to hit the ball through the court. All right, what are the things that you can do to play your best tennis on a clay court? First, I highly recommend hitting a lot of high topspin ground strokes. Push your opponent back, make them hit the ball out of their strike zone, and give yourself more time to respond to their shots. And also, you're just going to be more consistent by hitting the ball high over the net. Secondly, be patient. You're going to have to keep a lot of balls in play. It's a grind out there, but if you keep the ball in play on a clay court, you're going to be much more successful. Third, learn how to slide on a clay court. That'll be better for you to get to balls, and also once you get to a ball, also better for recovery. It does take time to learn that, but you can do it. Lastly, hit a few drop shots. The ball does bounce high on a clay court, but it's hard to get going. So if you place a drop shot relatively well, sometimes your opponent won't be able to get going and you'll hit a winner. Once they get going, it's pretty easy for them to run on that clay court and get to the ball, but sometimes they slip and slide and never can get there. All right, let's talk about the characteristics of playing on a hard court. At Pinebrook, we have indoor courts. The bounce is very predictable and consistent. You're not going to get a lot of bad bounces on a hard court. And you can hit the ball through the court, but the court isn't really fast. It's about medium speed, but it is a lot easier to hit a winner than on a clay court. The ball does bounce relatively high, but not too high, so you can hit the ball in your strike zone quite consistently. And you can move around the court very easily because there's a gritty court surface and your traction is really good. On the downside, playing on a hard court is really hard on your body. It's a hard surface. It's hard on the feet, the hips, the legs, the knees. But when you play points, it's certainly not as demanding as if you play on a hard court because the points just don't last as long because of the speed of the court. All right, what are the things you can do to play best on a hard court? First, be aggressive. Drive the ball. When you get your opportunities on opponent's short balls, move up to the ball and drive the ball through the court. The ball will go through the court and you'll hit a bunch of winners and put them on the defensive and give them less time to react to your shots. And because you have great traction on the court, you can get to the net and you can have good footing to move and react to those passing shots. So an all-court game can work really well. You don't have to get to the net all the time. Play it smart. When you get short balls, attack. If you're behind the baseline, keep the ball in play and just wait for the right time to attack. It's all about making good decisions. You can do a lot of different things on a hard court and play a lot of different styles, but sometimes the situation will dictate what you do. All right, let's talk about the characteristics of a grass court. Many of you may not have played on a grass court. There aren't too many around. They have grass courts at Longwood and Brookline. They also have them at the Newport Tennis Hall of Fame. It is a real treat to play on grass courts, and if you get the opportunity, I highly recommend it. Few things. One is there's a less predictable bounce than a hard court, and the court is quite fast. So it's easy to hit winners a lot of times just because the ball doesn't bounce that high. So the ball will bounce twice quickly. The traction isn't really good. So that some pros and other people actually wear different shoes that have more traction on them, little tiny little rubber spikes. And it is really, really easy on the body. It's so soft. I know I've played actually in bare feet. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's great on the knees and on the whole body. It is physically demanding on the quadriceps because you bend your knees a lot, and if you do a good job and you're really getting down to the ball, you'll find that your legs can be quite sore after playing just because you're getting a really good workout. All right, how can you play your best when you get on the grass courts? So, first of all, hit your ground strokes a little lower generally. Make it harder for people to hit low balls. I normally don't give that instruction, but in this case, if you can do it, it can be quite effective. Also, hit some slice shots, especially slice backhands. They'll stay real low, and a lot of times they'll bounce twice in front of your opponent. And because the ball doesn't bounce very high, get to the net. Then you can do a lot of things once you're up there. And one way to get to the net is when you hit your serve and volley. That's the surefire way to get to the net. Now, obviously, you have to hit good serves to be able to be in a position to hit good volleys, but that is a good strategy. And that'll shorten the points, and that's what you want to do. Make those points short by getting to the net and by ending points. And one of the great ways to end points on grass courts is by hitting drop volleys and drop shots. So if you can push your opponent back on approach shots, get into the net, and have your opponent behind the baseline, it's really easy to hit winners with those volleys just by dumping those volleys nice and short, and then they bounce twice in front of your opponent. Tennis is fun on all surfaces. So when we get back out on the courts, I encourage you to try to play on every surface. And if you use this knowledge, when you get out on those surfaces, you're going to be able to dominate your opponent. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.